I am stunned. That is. Oh, Lord. Another one for the Times. That's gotta be the funniest thing of the year. Oh, Lord.
Okay, well, Dennis, it's been longer than we've ever had a hiatus, I think.
3 weeks?
It's been like a month,
We
like
missed
4 weeks, I
3?
think. Yeah. So
Oh, we had one. 2 weeks ago.
no, no, two weeks ago, there was one
Oh,
week
yeah,
where you
right.
were away, and another
Right,
where I
right,
was in
right. I
Rome,
just imagined it.
and then last
I
week
did.
I had an incident
Right,
uh,
right,
that we can discuss.
right.
Uh, but
So I wanna I got a kickoff thing here, which is The Last of Us and
yes,
episode
I,
2.
yes, I've seen 3 of the second season. I
Me
don't know if
too.
there are 4. Okay, okay,
Me
good.
too. Me too.
Okay,
And I want to talk about both. But first of all, I'll say this because it affects the conversation. One is
Yeah,
that
there will be spoilers.
episode 3 tarnished episode 2.
Yes.
And so I wasn't mesmerized by finding a perfectly ready to tune guitar and singing Take Me Love. She was
Yeah.
marvelous, just
Sure.
fantastic. And it just got really cheesy and then kissy face in a high school kind of way, which part of it is what's going on with these characters, and they turn around and they shoot and kill things all the time,
Yeah.
and it is a glimpse into what they're feeling, I suppose. But to me, it just seemed cheesy. It kind of lost my interest a bit. I thought after Joel's dead, like a kissy face. I mean, I
Yeah.
and the tent they had was, with a light that was working, and it's like what happened to their meager existence, looking for canned goods in every building they go by because they haven't eaten for a day or two. I mean, it's more organized, but the death of Joel was
Yes.
so powerful,
Yes.
unexpected,
Yes.
flagrantly explosive.
Worst use of a golf club on television.
9 iron. Didn't need to hit it long.
So my Last of Us news is that since we last spoke, my son turned 12, and on his 12th birthday, he received the PlayStation game The Last of Us Part 1.
Aha, upon which
And
series 1 is
yes,
based.
and he has been playing that. His mother does not, whenever she catches what's on the screen, she's like,
What?
why are there zombies and shooting and stuff? But last weekend, I made some time. I put in like 4 or 5 hours of playing the video game.
Really?
I put
4 or 5 hours? My God, man.
That's
half,
short.
That's half a
That's
day.
not that's no. That, I mean, yeah, but like, I guess the video game is probably 20 hours long, like to play all the way through. But so I put it like to my son's recommendation, and also because I knew that what I wanted to experience was the cinematography and just the cinema aspect of the game. We put it on like the easiest possible level. So like, a zombie's coming at you, and you have like 12 chances to shoot at it, and before it like kills you. But wow, that game, and it, like, this is what I've been told forever, is that is one of the best video games available. Like, if you have a PlayStation, you have to get The Last of Us.
And the
and play
characters
it.
are how realistic?
They're very, like, so the in video game terminology, there are what are called cutscenes, where it's like pre-rendered stuff where the characters are doing stuff in the 3D world, and then there's gameplay where you are in control and you're walking around. And previously, 10, 15 years ago, when I knew anything about video games, the cutscenes were all like really nicely rendered, and they were like a 500 megabyte video file that would play, and then you would go back to video game play, and everything would be all kind of blocky and weird. But on this game, the cutscenes were all in the same level of graphic detail as the actual gameplay, and there were many times where I was watching characters talk or whatever, and then without realizing it, like, I was supposed to start like walking around with the character or whatever to go do stuff.
Now, you don't have a helmet on, do you?
No. It's, you're watching on the screen.
Okay.
With the video game controller. But the graphics. You're aware of the term uncanny valley, where video graphics or robots or whatever get close enough to look like humans, where they start becoming creepy.
What is it called?
Uncanny valley. When you get there's like your Pixar characters got their big eyes and goofy faces or whatever, and they don't feel like humans. But there's a point where when we start to like have computers render human faces too accurately, there's a point where it gets weird.
Yeah, like the early face deals with Nicolas Cage and who was it? Bill Hader being interviewed about a story he was telling. That was unnerving.
No, well, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about
right, robots. I know.
Robots or computer renderings of people. Like, if there's a reason that Pixar's characters don't look that human. Because if they tried their best to get really human, they would run up to a point where it became weird. But anyway, these characters looked very, very good. Like, anyone can ask YouTube for Last of Us video game footage. But the story was very compelling. Like, it literally started. They like, the whole time I've been watching The Last of Us, I've been listening to the podcast where after every episode they go and they talk about with the creators about how they made it, and the main leader of the podcast is the actor that played Joel on the video game, that voiced Joel. And it's they talk about how certain scenes they copy very, very closely. And like the very beginning of the Last of Us video game, I don't even know how much you remember the very first episode, but it starts off with Joel and his daughter.
Yes,
and his daughter has spent some money to repair his watch, and that's very touching. And then they go, and then like clearly it's going down, and they get in a car and they drive around, and there's some craziness, but like they did that so well. Like, you feel playing the game, you feel very much like the world is collapsing upon you, and I don't know. It's a genre of entertainment that I am not really that familiar with, but I've heard people talk about, and I appreciate, and I
It
think The
sounds
Last of Us
exhilarating.
is the best that they've done of that, and the whole like you're about to walk into a room and immediately you're like, are there any zombies in here? Or then you hear like the little click of the clickers, and it's just like you get so emotional. So anyway, my report back is that as I imagined, as I suspected, the video game is pretty darn amazing, and my son hasn't finished it, but hasn't watched the show yet.
He did the 20 hours.
Yeah, and
So this is like the Last of Us family here. This is the show,
No.
podcast, the game. Preparations are being made, dude. Preparations are being made. It's the Virgin episode for your 12-year-old.
I mean, if I walked down a dark alley and someone played that clicker sound, I would freak the fuck out.
Yeah, it is. It is a weird sound. This whole the premise of it is increasingly realistic over the years as we are up against, since what was it, the Spanish epidemic? What was that called?
Spanish flu?
Yeah. The Spanish
Flu, it was called.
I know, but the episode itself, the worldwide event.
In the 1915s?
1915, 18, 19,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, the Spanish flu. Yeah.
Epidemic.
Spanish influenza, if you want to be fancy.
I don't know. I think we should look it up.
Which has nothing to do with Spain. There's nothing Spanish about it. I forget the exact reason why it's called that, but
I think
it's
I've
like
heard
not
this
remotely related to Spain.
I think I've heard this before.
I'm sure I've said it
this
before
story,
on episode 12. But
Episode 12. You could no sooner remember episode 12 than I could, and I've never listened. I've never listened to an episode, so.
But yeah, and I mean, there's lots more to talk about tonight. But like the whole, I'll reiterate my theory on the zombie genre of why that's fun, is that it gives, in the same way that the first first-person shooter games was called Wolfenstein 3D, and you were walking around killing Nazis, and this was back in like 93, we'll say, and it's fun to walk around and shoot humans, but at some point there's like this moral problem of you can't just walk around shooting humans, although there are games like that. So the whole Nazis genre it's like the really cynical take is it's like the really cynical take is that it is like white Americans missing the time when they could just like kill black people. That's super cynical, but like it's this, hey, there's this other out there that's trying to come and get us.
There are some black actors in it who are also killing, so it's
yeah.
That's a bit of a stretch.
No. But that's
Yeah,
like
right.
historically, it's checking into this xenophobia of the invaders are coming in. We need to kill them, and if and as long as you make them non-human, which is, guess what? That's what we do in war propaganda, is we make the enemy non-human, and therefore we can kill them. Uh, so once, like, the whole zombie genre is reproducing this, oh, they are already dead.
Uh-huh. The
We
undead.
shooting them uh, saves us and doesn't really hurt them. So now we have humans that we can shoot in the head, and
Fair
like,
enough.
so like
Fair enough.
that's the appeal to the
Right.
human
So
psyche of the
here's
zombie
here's here's something
genre.
to consider.
QED.
The last video game that I played, which will date this,
Pong.
was Pac-Man.
Ooh,
That's the last time.
snorting those
Or
pills.
the boingy thing. Bong, 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 bong. That thing.
Pong. Pong.
Bong,
Pong.
pong.
Pong. You might have been smoking a bong, but it was called Pong. He.
Hey,
Pong.
back in the day, I lived down in Florida,
And you might have
and
been eating some pills with Pac-Man. So
everywhere in Florida, is bamboo. And I had a place we were renting, and as it turns out, there were some ancient bamboo on the property, and new, of course, bamboo grows like bamboo, and
yeah.
so amongst this big kind of screen of it, like a copse of just nothing but bamboo, I found them that were big around as a softball, and took two or three sections, hollowed them out, and then took a smaller piece of bamboo for the pipe stem.
You made your own pipe organ.
don't
No, bong.
don't
No.
don't bring your organ into this. And then I took the whole thing and I covered it with seashells. Yeah, baby. And I made a bunch of them
A bamboo bong. Okay.
back in the day. A bamboo bong. Experimented with materials. The early ones, of course, did not have seashells, and the seashelled ones became rather heavy, but they were extraordinary, as you can imagine.
I
As late as 25 years later, there was a story that one had surfaced somewhere. But anyway, wherever you were, whatever you said, reminded me of that fascinating little
Indeed.
story.
So I feel like I need to talk about going to Rome for the first time. Uh, that was interesting. Like, it was on many accounts exactly as I expected. It was very similar to Spain. It was full of bloody tourists. There was some amazing food, and
Wait, stop there. Stop
yes,
there. Best meal.
so
Gotta pick one.
I want to do a runner up first, and that's where, like, I did some research, and you're familiar with the dish fettuccine Alfredo.
Yes.
You've heard of
Quite
this.
familiar.
So I went to the restaurant where they invented it. There's a long history about it. This guy named Alfredo, the place is called Alfredo's. He came up with this way of. There's only three ingredients. There is freshly handmade pasta, butter, lots of butter, and Parmesan cheese. And they put a whole bunch of butter on the plate, and then they put the hot pasta on top of it, and start to mix it up, and then they put all the cheese on top, and like they'd like do this at the table, uh,
Yeah.
so you can see it, and it's uh, according to my research, this is a thing that Italians look at like an American would look at. Oh, you went to a place where they made you a hot dog. Like, so what? Like, this is what we do at home all the time. Or
Uh-huh,
like,
uh-huh. Well, no,
just,
but is it the same? Is it because, well, if it's Chicago instead of the U.S., then it makes sense because hot dog to Chicago.
yeah,
Is
okay.
that?
So I maybe I chose a poor example.
I mean, that you what's the best
Peanut,
example of an American dish? A hamburger?
peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Imagine there were Europeans coming to the U.S. and they were like, "Oh, you got to go to this one place. It's like they make the best peanut butter and jelly sandwich." And then you go there and they make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and the Europeans are like, "Oh, this is amazing." But the local. So,
Yeah.
from what I understand, the local Italians look at this place like, "Yeah, that's what we do at home, like
Every day,
5 nights a
right?
week."
Right.
Like,
I don't like the comparison. American dish would need to be something kind of a dinner dish, and it very well could be steak and potatoes.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
right? A sirloin and big ass
But you
potatoes
can
and
do
a
that
hunk of broccoli.
amazingly well, or kind of shittily.
So,
Like,
tell your experience of going to Texas, doing some work in Texas, and going to a famous steakhouse name I can't remember in a location. I could look it up, I suppose, in my memory book, but
Cowboy Steakhouse.
had the famous like T-bone probably, though it could have been a sirloin. Although a sirloin would be big, but it was gargantuan. And the potatoes, of course, were, beyond crispy and perfectly done and squishy on the inside. And on the side, I remember an entire head of broccoli that's been steamed al dente,
Yeah, baby.
grilled in butter and Parmesan sauce. So if like you're in Texas, the attitude could be, why would we go there? Ma makes it better.
Yeah, I guess. So, yeah, I didn't want to emphasize so much that part of it, but this restaurant is like the only reason that it's famous, or that dish at all is famous, is that there's a story of some like Hollywood celebrities that went there like 100 years ago, and they thought it was amazing, and they told all their friends, and then all the famous Americans came over. And so like when you walk into the place, there's all these photos on the wall of like the most famous Hollywood people from the last 100 years, like, are all there. Like, it's a super famous place. The actual food itself, I mean, it is delicious, but in the end, it's some fat and some carbs and some cheese. Like, it was good.
But
Then
good. But so you didn't.
I'm glad I went
didn't
there.
say it was. Not only didn't you say one dish or more was fantastic, or you didn't even say it was great. You said it was
No.
good, which sounds to me like maybe the best meal that you had was like you've had better.
No, that was not the best meal. That's just a place I wanted to
A
mention.
meal. What was the best?
Yes. So we went to like the places that I researched. Like, when you search for best pizza in Rome, Google will tell you here's 4 or 5 places, and you can then go and look up on YouTube YouTubers that have been to these places and have made amazing videos of like, oh, this is really amazing pizza or whatever. And we went to a couple of those places, and they were very good. But then, like, one of our tour guides and also one of the local Italians that was at the conference the reason that I went there officially.
You're a speaker?
I was a speaker. And
how many people? Let me interrupt. I want to set the stage. How many people at the event?
Over 1,000, but at my talk there were probably only like 300.
Jesus Christ!
So
it's enormous. And so when you say we went, who's we? Well, wait a minute. You hear that?
I went first to the conference, and then my family came.
And then in Rome, you did as the Romans don't do, and you went to the famous restaurant. So did you go for pizza?
So I went to the conference first, and I gave my talk, and then my family showed up.
That's
and then
great.
we stayed another 4 days there.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a week.
Good for you, man. What a week.
Yeah, babe, it was expensive as fuck, but yes.
Oh, sure, but nothing's free.
So you're asking about the best food. Probably it was this. So there's this. Apparently, when we went in April, it is the season for the artichokes. And the Romans really love their artichokes. Like, that's one of their primary, like, things, like, that they're known for, like, internally. And I did not know this. And so, but also, especially within Rome, there's a Jewish quarter that is known to do the Jewish artichoke dish. And
which is
and all the people that all the Italians that I talked to said, yes, this is artichoke season. You have to go to the Jewish quarter and have an artichoke, and in the Jewish way. And the Jewish artichoke style is they like it reminds me of the stuff I do in my air fryer. Like, the artichoke comes out all crispy and like fried, but like crispy, and you pull them off like almost like they're like tortilla chips. The leaves, they're all crispy and lovely. But then there's the artichoke in the Roman style.
But there's the heart of the artichoke that you pull out, and it's the meaty part of the leaf.
Yes, as well. But like the Jewish way, all the leaves are very crispy, and they feel like you're eating like potato chips. But then yes, the heart is its own delicacy. The Roman way is they cook it more, and you have more of a sauce around it, and it's both were amazing. But we went to this place in the Jewish quarter that, like, they barely spoke any English. Which means like you're in the right place, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're in the main place where they all speak English, you're not getting the authentic cuisine. They barely spoke English. The menu was handwritten in Italian. Luckily, they had the same thing on their website that I could like go and like copy and paste into translation software. And just the the least elegant sort of like this was for a lunch, and like we had to wait in line for like 30 minutes, and then they gave us a table, and then they were too busy to like bring us I guess we had some water. Like I ordered some wine, but they never came with that because they were just
Never?
too busy. No, no, they were like, I don't know. It was just such
Okay.
a like maybe they didn't understand my English. I don't know. But it, anyway, that place had some amazing food, and we ordered a couple of things, and then we like repeated because we weren't sure how much food what we ordered was because you
And
don't
then
know because it's
you
just on
got
the
more of
menu,
it?
and then we were like, yeah, let's do more of these two dishes.
What a blast.
And
What a blast.
that was super
And what
fucking
was
authentic. And
describe the room you were in?
we were out. We were so the actual restaurant was a tiny little hole in the wall with a little dining room, but we were like outside and with a like a canvas sort of covering,
Oh,
but it was like really hot in there, and at
uh-huh.
some point they like opened a thing so some air could flow
Hey,
through.
gotta interrupt. No, come on, I want to see my baby. Hello? Romy. Ramona. Ramona.
Roll that R.
Romy.
Hey, we're
Here.
talking about Rome.
Come here. Come here. I want to show you something. Come here, I want to show you something. Come here. That's Erik. Say hello, Erik. Wave to him. That's my friend. Is he funny? Yeah. Look what he's doing. Want to give him a high five? Here, put your hand. Put it.
High five.
Say bye, Erik.
Bye.
See ya. I walked in the door the other day and she ran into the kitchen and she said, "You came back." And she was all happy. And then I reached down to hug her and she said, "I love you, Grandpa." And she gave me a big kiss. I thought, my day is made.
Yeah.
My day is made. Anyway. You know,
That's what yeah.
so the place sounds like I almost imagined it, but
and then like right next to the place, like while we were waiting, like we left, we paid, and my son went into the bathroom to. He took a while. I don't know what he was doing in the bathroom, but while we were waiting for like 10 minutes outside, we went like to the next door over, and it was this chapel, and you walked in and it was just some like all of Rome, like every other place you walk in, every other door is like this amazing, it's not a cathedral but just a beautiful chapel. So we stayed at this place. Like I chose this place because it was pretty central, and like right across the street from where we from this. Okay, first of all, the Airbnb we stayed in, there's this huge fucking door, and during the day it's open, but then you walk in and then there's like a gate. And when I first got there, because I was there by myself at first before my family got there, and I was there before I was supposed to be able to check in. Really, I went
they
and
let you in?
well, I so there's this like guy that sits in this office by the gate, a guard, I guess, and he knows no English whatsoever. And I was like, Airbnb here, I don't know. And he was like, and so that was a no go. But once I eventually figured out that I had to go 100 yards down the street to find a lockbox to get the key to come back and whatever. Then, like, it was walking into this huge place, into this courtyard, and then up some stairs around, and then like up to the first floor, and then this huge. It was a spacious apartment, and it just felt very. It wasn't a Spanish architecture. Felt very Italian Roman. Like this is the way the old Roman buildings are built. But anyway, while we were there, we did. I was told that you should like pre-book some guided tours to like and not have to wait in all the lines to go everywhere, and that was sort of true. We had 3 different tours that we went on. We went on
4
the
days?
Yes. We did the Colosseum and
Enormous.
and the Vatican museums, which
Oh, my
includes the
word.
Sistine Chapel,
Oh my word.
and the Pantheon,
Oh my God.
which I had not really understood much about the Pantheon before, but that's a pretty cool place too.
Is it a government building?
No, the Pantheon it's this old old this old Roman temple that it has the biggest concrete dome in the world that is unsupported by anything. Like there's this huge dome with an actual hole in the top, and like our tour guide told us that like historic like architects don't understand how it was built. Like people have tried over the past
What do you mean
1,000
it
years.
doesn't have any supporting? What is it? Floating in the air? What do you say? It's
I mean,
got support somewhere.
Well, yeah, it's there's a building, and then there's this dome on top, right? But the dome is all concrete. There's no rebar inside it. It just is there in concrete
And
like,
attached to the built to the
and then attached to the walls of the building, but like.
Oh my God.
Like people have tried to imagine like if they had like built a big mound of sand or something underneath and then poured the concrete and then like removed all the sand, and but like everyone that's tried to replicate that has failed. So like we don't really understand how that was built, and it's still freaking standing, and it was like literally everything in Rome. All the old pagan stuff has been turned into Christian stuff.
And so when you're on a tour, how long of a day is the tour?
Just in the morning.
A half a day.
So yeah, so
You eat before you leave, and then eat after you come
our
back.
longest one was the Colosseum, and that was like 10 a.m. to 1 or to 1:30 or whatever.
And you ate on your own before and after.
On that day we actually didn't have breakfast, but on the other days we did. But
What was the breakfast like?
just a pastry and a cafe latte. But the variance in the quality, like this is always true whenever you travel, the quality of the guides varies so much. Like our first one for the Vatican Museum,
Yeah.
was this old dude, professorial, like he looked like he knew all about art and stuff, but like he mumbled, and like you got your earpiece on and you're trying to hear what he's saying, and he was just like, good history is not about saying the dates, and like it's very tempting for the people that know about all this stuff to be like, well, this architect that you've never heard of built this, and then he didn't finish it in his lifetime, and so this other architect that you've never heard of finished it later, and this year and that year and whatever, and blah 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 blah. And like that's, I don't want that. But the good guides are the ones that tell you the stories.
Yeah.
Good history is stories. And to say that this person came in here, but then they had these troubles, and this other person came in here, and it doesn't matter the year, I can tell you the year, but whatever, and then this happened, and this happened. Like, I remember when I fell in love with history with my high school history teacher, that it was all about the stories. Like, it's literally there in the name, his story. But anyway, it was cool.
A clever moment. Mark it down. Let's get a date and time on this. That's pretty good, man.
Yeah,
pretty
so
good. Pretty good.
It was a lot of fun.
Pretty good.
And I have more stories since after we got back, but you probably have some too.
Let's see. I have worked every waking hour painting the outside of a house that my son and I own together. And imagine essentially a three-story house with the third story being an attic, built on a basement foundation. And the entire house, which is 3 or 4 bedrooms, 2 full baths, is covered in shingles. And those shingles need to be painted around the windows so that the guy I hire to come in and spray, which is these open spaces between the windows and above the windows, but it's called cutting out. So you cut out. And you cut out enough so that when he sprays, he doesn't spray it on the window. And it saves the sprayer all the time in the world. Well, I'll send you pictures. I might have overdone it. There's hardly anything left to paint on one whole side of the house. But it's because...
Wait, the spray guy is coming to spray
in
the
between
shingles?
The shingles. No. I'm painting them around the windows, cutting out the windows and the doorways and the edges.
You're doing the details around that,
yes.
And then the rest is just going to be like sprayed.
There's a space, so there's these spaces, but there's so many windows, and on one side there's all this electrical stuff and tubes. Well, you can't paint that with tubes going up the house. It's electrical and gas and whatever, and meters and stuff like. You can't spray it.
You can paint a tube.
I painted a tube, but if you spray it, it'll drip, and you got to give the guy, cut it in with a brush, and then he gets close to it. And anyway, so that's what I've been doing nonstop. That is in gray paint. That is what I was doing when you were in the Jewish section of Rome eating motherfucking artichokes. I was gimping on a ladder. Wait a minute. I got an idea. Let's trade lives for just coming up for my surgery. You come here, you get your leg operated on.
Okay, and you can go to Madrid and give my talk. Yes.
Yeah, I'll do it. You know what I'll do? I just go up and turn on the computer, hit a few buttons, and say, you know why you came, you know what you want to learn. I want to start oddly enough with questions, and a question would come up, and then I would say, "Who here wants to answer that?" And someone
Exactly.
would raise their hand. And an
No,
hour and a half later, they would say, "I was brilliant."
almost every single conference I go to, when it's just the speakers talking amongst themselves, we end up having this fantasy of this concept of, hey, what if you got up on stage and you were randomly given someone else's slides and you had to just like fucking improv, like how would that go? And you would do amazing at that. So, like, I want to move on from Rome because I have some local stuff since Rome, but I want to give a special highlight to when I was there by myself, the first after the conference, and when I had checked into the apartment, and before my family got there, I went out to have lunch, and I was walking around the touristy places, and this, I don't know if you've been probably in New Orleans or whatever. There's lots of places like this where there's a hype man guy outside that's just like, hey, want to come in and have lunch, have lunch here or whatever. And there was this guy who was just saying, so where are you from? So where are you from? And people would respond. I didn't, because I was like, yeah, I know what you're doing. But I stopped and I looked at the menu, and he saw me looking for a while, and then came over and was like, where are you from? And I've learned to say, in these situations, I often will say Spain rather than the US. But this guy immediately launched into Spanish and was talking to me in Spanish, and I was like, and he was like, where are you from? And I was like, oh, I'm from the north of Spain, near the Basque Country. And then he came up with this 7 Basque words that I also know, like hello, thank you, how are you, or whatever. And I was hungry, and I was like, all right, I'll and he also was like, oh, you come in here, we'll give you a free glass of champagne. So, well, yeah, whatever. Like, they have this gimmick where they will give adults a tiny little shot of something bubbly,
right. A little tiny thimble.
Yeah, and so I was like, sure, fine. So I went, and I sat down, and I looked at the menu and I ordered, but like, I was sitting outside where I was watching this guy do this to other people, and it blew my mind. He spoke 15 languages. He would say, you know, hey, where are you from? And then someone would say, Iceland, and he would just be like,
yeah,
or someone would say, Warsaw, and boom, Polish, and it was worth sitting there and paying whatever I paid for that meal just to observe this guy do this magic.
Yeah,
and like, I exchanged looks with the other workers there, and they were just like, yeah, he's just amazing.
What'd you
and
have?
Then I had spaghetti carbonara. Like, you gotta do that once.
Oh, sure. Great,
And
good.
It was amazing. It was amazing. And then, like, that was an amazing experience. Like, I totally remembered that place. And then on our last night there, as a family, we were walking around, and we came across this place, and I was like, hey, that's that place I went to before. And this guy came out, and he was like, hey, buddy, you're back. Well, like, fucking 5 days later, after seeing 10,000 faces walk by, he's like, "Hey," and he was like, "Hey, come on, the champagne for you, and we'll get some fake bubbly for the kids. Come sit down." And at that point, we were like, "Sure, whatever. We're looking for."
Because you went in the first time with your coworkers, second time with your family.
No, the first time by myself.
Oh. The workers at the place were.
Yeah. The people at the place. Yeah.
Looks like this guy's amazing. Yeah.
And so the second time, we sat down, and while we were looking at our menus, he came out and gave a spaghetti carbonara, the same thing that I'd ordered before, just like as a free entree to get us started. And I was just like, dude, like,
what amazing!
You own my heart.
What amazing service!
And
wow!
And then like his boss came around, and his boss was almost more charismatic, and just amazing people. And so, like, when we left, I said, "Hey, I need to have a selfie with you. I want to remember this." And also, this goes deep, but we've got these in our kitchen. We have these two ceramic Italian chefs. That one is these little things. That one is filled with vinegar and one is olive oil, and that we use to dress our salad. And we bought these like 20 years ago, me and my wife, in like Boone, North Carolina. And they eventually, over the years, the vinegar one broke, and then the olive oil one broke just like earlier this year, and like we've been mourning the loss. And I was able to, on eBay, find very similar replicas of these really special ceramic things, and nice. I presented them to my family. Too much. I earned so many father points, and so before we went to Italy, we were like, "Hey, we should find some dudes some Italian people that we can name these Italian chefs after." And so at this restaurant, we asked this guy, what's your name? I want to name this ceramic Italian chef that I have in my kitchen all the time after you. And so now we have, his name was Fauci. Fawzi.
Fauci, huh?
Yes, not like Anthony Fauci.
Not like Bob Fauci, the choreographer.
No. But so, anyway, we went to this amazing place. And so that was super cool. Hold on, I've got some more stories. After Rome, I have a couple weeks ago, like before we went to Rome, like I had a pain in my upper left molar. Like it hurt to chew.
Yeah, like, right. Yeah, that's one of the reasons sucks. You missed a recording because of urgent care, right?
Well, yeah, yes, exactly. And so then I went to the dentist, and I was like, "Hey, this thing hurts a little bit. See what you can do." And they went in and they tapped on it a bit. And immediately they pulled out like this whole fucking tooth and like put it on the tray in front of me. And they were like, "Yeah, this one's broken." And with very little like consent, they said, "We have to remove this tooth. We have to remove all the roots." And this dentist guy, this 40-something dude, came over, and he was like he gave me the anesthetic or whatever, but you still feel the pressure or whatever. And he at one point he had to like stand up to put all his weight onto whatever the fuck he was doing inside my mouth, and it was just like, and
Yeah,
I was like, what? So,
I hypnotize myself, man. I'm on
yeah,
gas. Even when I get my teeth cleaned, I'm on gas. And everything bothers me, and I've had root canals and many teeth removed and chipped teeth
yeah,
and strange things and root canals and fake teeth and just
yeah,
I go into a state where
yeah.
I'm removed.
Yeah, I had some of that, and but like, I swear at the end, he had like blood spatter on his
Oh
bib,
Lord, seen that?
and
Yeah, been there. That's
and and it was just like, okay, so, and he was like, oh, well, that was really hard because like the the roots like went down and then they like connected, and so like they were like hard to get out or whatever. And I was just like, okay, so
how long ago was that?
this was like 2 weeks ago, and
Before Rome.
he, no, after Rome,
Oh,
and and he was like, yeah, so also he went in. I think I counted 7 times he went in with a needle and thread to give me stitches.
yeah.
7 times into my mouth to give me stitches, and like tying shit off and stuff.
And you could see it all.
And,
Big
well,
big curved needle.
it was pretty straight but short. Yeah. So that was terrifying. And then he was like, "Yeah, so you need to put ice on your face for the rest of the day." And that was when I told you I don't think I can make this podcast. Uh, and also, take your antibiotics and then come back in 1 week so we can take out the stitches. And like I couldn't work for the next 2 days. Like I was just in
Yeah.
so much just like pain, and so then I went back a week later and they took out my stitches and they were like, and so I said, okay, so what's the next step on this process? And they're like, yeah, we're gonna have to wait in like 5 or 6 months until your bone grows back, and then we
They-
can
They
decide
pack
whether or
some
not.
stuff in there.
There's nothing in there. There's just a
Pig
hole.
stuff. Pig.
There's
Pig
just a
bone.
hole. And whenever I eat a legume, like one of
gets
them falls
stuck.
in there. Yeah, and I'm like trying to get it out, but so
Well,
that's one of my
you've-
stories.
You've told me some amazing anecdotes. I must say though that I found the stories about rum a little bit more, shall we say, satisfying than the dental work. I will tell you this though, because you said that you went and you bought these beautiful replicas of stuff. I too have a shopping story.
Yes.
I had a in one of the bedrooms I'm painting. I have it happens to be a very good painted ceiling that doesn't need a coat of paint, which is a big time saver. But somewhere along the line, somebody gouged a little piece of that, what is essentially cardboard, tongue and groove paneled ceiling, so that it's marred. And then to fix it, who nameless shall be, a relative of mine, put a piece of fucking duct tape over it, so when you pull the duct tape off, all the paint and some of the cardboard comes off, and so there's this blemish.
Oh no.
So I went shopping.
Gouged, marged, and blemished.
I went shopping, and I've got the materials to seal that up and to sand it up and to make it look decent, but it'll never match the color of the ceiling. In order to get the color of the ceiling to match, I've got to
Gotta paint the whole fucking ceiling.
No, I got to peel a piece off that's big enough for this little handheld computer. It's no bigger than a stamp for a passport. And you press it down on it, and it calculates the formula for the color. And then you go to the computer, and it matches it. And they show you on the little piece of paper you brought with the color on it what it looks like. And so you can see it dry. They use a hair dryer, and they dry it off, and they show you, and you can't see the difference.
You know,
Because for the most part. But anyway, back to shopping. That may or may not occur. Many times, in spite of how good that technology is, because there's now paint strokes on a ceiling which otherwise is spray painted, you can see it. So my shopping was this. I found essentially a light switch, but it didn't have a hole for a switch in it. It was a plate with 4 screws. And I put it up over that, and I can screw it in over that piece. And from this day forward, people will say, I wonder what was there. And then never notice it again.
yep.
As opposed to a blemish. So,
Pretty clever. Pretty clever.
similar shopping trip, right? That cost me $1.98. That's a pretty good deal.
Speaking of painting ceilings, the Sistine Chapel is pretty damn amazing.
Yeah, what
Like-
they do, they painted that kind of nice up there, didn't they? So,
Like-
how long were you in there? And how do
It's-
you not get a stiff neck?
Yeah, so the path into the Sistine Chapel takes you through 25 other mind-blowingly beautiful fresco rooms where it's just like all the walls and ceilings are just gorgeous. And if you have a boring guide that is there to tell you about, well, this is representing the devil, and this is representing the other guy over here, and then this was like the angels, and they came down, and like what they believed was this, like, so there was a lot of that. But then, like, the actual chapel, which, as we speak, I believe is occupied.
Oh, yes. The conclave.
Yeah, so we'll hold on, we'll get to that. The actual chapel is maybe a basketball court is the reasonable idea size to give you of what it is. But like the ceiling is really high, so like the bits that you want to see are really quite far away. But yes, so while we were there, when we were walking between places, all the traffic stopped, and like we couldn't cross the street, and there were police everywhere, and there were helicopters everywhere, and then we saw these black SUVs go zooming by, and it was only after they went by and then we crossed that I heard some Americans saying, oh, that was JD Vance.
No shit.
So we were there when JD Vance went to visit the Vatican because Trump's policies angered the Pope, and JD had to go to be like, hey, it's cool that we're exporting, that we are deporting all of these people with no reason. Don't worry about that. And And so that interrupted us one day, and then on our day when we went to the Vatican, the security was super extra heightened, and like we had a lot of trouble finding our tour guide because like we couldn't go through the path that like we were supposed to go, and the guides and the security people were like, I don't know, like security's extra high today, and we were like, why? And they're like, well, fucking JD Vance is here. And it was JD really sort of fucked us on that, but yeah, we were there when JD Vance was there, and he met with the Pope, and then we came home, and then after the day we came home was Easter Sunday in the super early morning. We had to get up at like 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. on Easter Sunday to fly back, and then we were in Spain celebrating my mother-in-law's birthday, and during her birthday celebration, I pulled up a live video stream of the Pope giving his mass on Easter Sunday, and then the next fucking day he died.
Oh Lord!
So
wow.
like we totally
you were there.
If he had died 4 days earlier, we could not have seen any of the Vatican.
Right.
But as it is, we saw St. Peter's Basilica and everything. It was pretty cool.
So your travels are always amazing to me. It reminds me of what I consider one of my favorite songs by the band, and it goes like this. Oh, the streets of Rome are filled with rubble. Ancient footprints are everywhere. You could almost think that you're seeing double on a cold, dark night on the Spanish stairs. Gotta hurry on back to my hotel room, where I got me a date with a pretty little girl from Greece. She promised she'd be there with me when I paint my masterpiece. Oh, the hours we'd spent inside the Colosseum, dodging lions and wasting time. All those mighty kings of the jungle, I could hardly stand to see 'em. Yet it sure has been a long, hard climb. The train wheels are running in the back of my memory when I ran on the hilltop following a pack of wild geese. Someday everything is gonna sound like a rhapsody when I paint my masterpiece. Sailing around the world in a dirty gondola, all in the back of the land of Coca-Cola. Well, I left Rome and landed in Brussels on a plane ride so bumpy that I almost cried. Clergyman in a uniform, girls pulling muscles. Everyone was there to greet me when I stepped inside. Newspaper man eating candy had to be held down by the big police. But someday everything's gonna be different when I paint my masterpiece. When I paint my masterpiece. My two favorite parts of that song, when he's saying in a plane ride to Brussels so bumpy he almost cried. And the other one is when he describes the newspaper man selling candy. I mean, these images that he creates are so simple and so gorgeous.
Yes.
You know, it's a lovely thing. I gotta go.
Like, if I hadn't been to Brussels, I wouldn't have recognized the mussels reference or the Spanish Steps in Rome, but we definitely walked down the Spanish Steps. So.
And pulling muscles is not mussels, which I always thought. It's pulling muscles, like a muscle on your leg. I have no idea what the fuck it means. Maybe the people who wrote the lyrics wrote it wrong. I always thought they were pulling muscles out of the clamshells.
That's mussels is one of the quintessential dishes in Brussels.
Yeah, so the lyrics misspelled it.
Probably, yes.
Yes. Well,
all right.
Bit of research note. I'm out. Next week, I will be one day. Next week, I'll be one day out of surgery. So I have to keep my leg.
You might be trippy as hell.
I gotta keep my leg elevated for this long a time, but I can probably rig it up ahead of time. So,
all right. Let's not go a whole fucking month again.
Okay, that's it for the long-awaited episode 248. You can find the show notes at happyhour.fm/248, where there is a video of the Last of Us gameplay, so you can see what that looks like, and as well as the fettuccine Alfredo recipe. You can support the show at patreon.com/happyhour. We would really appreciate that. See you next week, I hope.